Hi, this is Jim Montague, Executive Editor of Control Magazine and ControlGlobal.com, and this is the latest in our Control Amplified podcast series. In these recordings, we talk with expert sources about process control and automation topics and try to get beyond our print and online coverage to explore some of the underlying issues impacting users, system integrators, suppliers, and other people and organizations in these industries. For our latest podcast, we're talking to Steve Flans, subject matter expert for automation at CRB. That's at www.crbusa.com. And he was also president of the International Society for Automation, www.isa.org, in 2017. CRB itself is an engineering, architecture, construction, and consulting firm with more than 1,300 staff and 19 offices worldwide, and it's been aggressively transitioning to remote working technologies and procedures during the current COVID-19 crisis. Well, Steve, sorry for the usual lengthy preamble, and thanks for talking to us today.
Glad to be here, Jim.
Okay. Well, first of all, as we're asking during all these kind of interviews that's going on with the coronavirus, what's happening with COVID-19 where you're at? How is your organization, people, and local industry community being impacted?
Well, like I think everyone in the world, it's impacting us, and we're dealing with it as best we can. For what's happening with COVID-19, where we're at, considering we have 19 locations, there's variation in what COVID is doing locally. Some are good, some are bad, and we hope that those who are suffering from this recover and everything is all right. In the St. Louis area where I'm at, we're doing better than some other locations for a large metro area. Predictions are that the curve will peak in the next 2 to 3 weeks in the St. Louis and Missouri area in general, but we know this is kind of subject to change. State's been under a stay-at-home order for a few weeks now. On the rare occasion of getting out, there are a lot less people out and about compared to normal. My wife and I both, too, had virtual doctor's visits this week, so that was a change. CRB started asking employees to transition to working from home, though I believe it was the week of March 15th. And it took about a week for nearly our entire St. Louis office to make the transition. That means an office of over 130 staff now has less than a handful of people in the office at any point in time. Our offices are still officially open, but I would say that probably 95% or more of our office-based staff are working from home. In addition to most everyone working from home, companies non-essential travel is suspended. So if you don't have to go anywhere for a job, a project, or meet, then absolutely do not go. No travel to or from virus-affected regions and countries. That's pretty normal for about anywhere, anyway. We're using virtual meeting methods, and many of our construction sites, while they're still open, there are practices and procedures in place to deal with the situation. I'll cover some of those we're doing a little later. So bottom line, our business is doing better than a lot of others. We have had to make some quick changes, but I think we've been pretty successful at that.
Right. So then, beyond your particular organization, how are your clients and their projects being affected by the coronavirus? And then maybe, what's happening with the contractors and or suppliers that contribute to your efforts?
Given the nature of our business being heavily focused in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry, it is not really a surprise that we're remaining relatively busy. CRB is working with our clients to bring essential medicines and vaccines to market with a new twist on not compromising work safety based on COVID. We've had a small percentage of active projects today put on hold or delayed. Projects not underway have had a higher percentage delayed or postponed. And then there's a number of projects that have quickly appeared or active projects modified and accelerated as they are related to efforts to combat COVID-19. So it's, us kind of being on the tip of the spear, so to speak. Things are heating up in that arena. We're supporting clients' projects around the globe by leveraging our teams in each of our 19 offices. For example, local European teams are supporting U.S.-based clients and project teams impacted by travel restrictions by completing factory and on-site acceptance tests at European sites. So a lot of our equipment suppliers, manufacturers, fabricators are European-based, so a lot of stuff gets built there and shipped over, that type of stuff. Leveraging our process expertise in BARDA, which is Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, experience to evaluate facility fit and enable rapid product changeover in response to the pandemic. Think back to 9/11. There was a flurry of activity following those events. This is not the first time our industry has done some sort of rapid shift or response to critical needs. In regards to contractors and suppliers, we're continually monitoring supply chains and subcontractors to make sure we can get materials and supplies for projects, because again, we're still building stuff actively. We've yet to see a substantial impact to equipment or automation system component supply availability. In some instances, I would say I see very little difference or no difference in the response of us reaching out to vendors and getting information and, quotes and things that are, what's out there. Biggest difference is we hear a lot more kids yelling or dogs barking in the background when on calls with equipment vendors or technical support staff. They're working from home just like us. They still have people in their shops, on warehouse floors, building stuff or shipping it out. But a lot of the people that we deal with are also able to work from home. I get communications and good communications from a lot of suppliers and sales reps and the like that they are saying they're open for business and they're able to support just as they have prior to this, with just a major hiccup of working from home and some communication glitches. Overall, we work with clients, and we've always done this to some extent, but now we put a little more emphasis on it. But making sure we pay a little more attention to multi-site sourcing and demand allocation, being aware that what do we have a plan B if something suddenly becomes unavailable and we have to scramble to get something else to replace it. So a lot of contingency planning, managing stock and supplier. Just keep in touch with the suppliers and make sure that we're talking with them so that we know what's going on with them, and they likewise keep us informed of any potential delays so that we can have as much time as possible to respond.
Cool. Now, when we talked earlier, you kind of indicated that, CRB has been transitioning quickly to more remote work tools due to COVID-19. What were they already doing that allowed them to accomplish the shift you're talking about, and maybe what are they doing that's new?
Well, good stuff here. Let me kind of give you a quick rundown of my morning. I thought it was kind of different. It actually was different because I actually went into the office today for the first time, and I think it's been about 2 weeks since I was actually there. I had to go in and sign, seal some drawings getting issued for construction permitting. Those still require a physical seal. You can't do some electronically, so I had to go in there. I printed out a single-page document, the first piece of paper I think I ran through a printer out of a printer in over 2 weeks. I was one of only 2 people in our office of about 30, so it was kind of weird. Came back home, got home about 8 o'clock. Sitting in my office, I've been on 2 calls this morning, one with my local automation team. 5 of us get together on a daily basis in the morning for a quick chat, what's going on, what we're doing, what are plans, what's come up, that type of stuff. And then our Farmer Core team has a weekly meeting that we were a part of, and everybody's web in. We have well over 30 people on that. So that was my morning. But our existing work culture really positioned us well for making this transition. I think we had a good head start here. We have a high percentage of staff that routinely travel and work remote client sites from home at times. You're doing work in the airport terminal waiting on a flight. You're at the hotel at night after working all day and still cranking out some stuff. So we're there doing it already. Our IT infrastructure provided for high-speed communications, cloud-based tools, and that support that method of working. So we have a lot of people that are remoting in, and so the stuff was there in place. We've been using virtual meeting software to maintain support collaboration between all our geographically dispersed teams, our clients, project stakeholders. We use Skype, Microsoft Teams, Blue Jeans Go-To Meetings, and WebEx as our arsenal web-based meeting software. We're already using all those, and all of them have a different place, different strength, and we find we need a variety of them sometimes to accommodate people's computer systems, clients, networks, firewalls, what they allow. So we had several that we use routinely, and Again, we're already using these means to do virtual meetings, and we also use a lot of 3D design software, CAD-based systems that allow us to basically draw up things and model the building and what we're building in 3D, and then we can virtually, over meetings, share that. I'm working on a current project where it's in construction phase right now, but we had a project team that was in 4 different time zones, all 4 different time zones of the U.S., and 5 different offices. Did a lot of virtual meetings with a client, an intricate level of detail for reviewing models where we actually brought up the 3D model and were able to virtually walk through the building and see what it looked like, see where we had pipes going through beams and vice versa and that type of stuff. So we did a lot of that. And the majority of our staff had experience, again, because I'd say more than well over half, probably 2/3 of our staff is fairly fluent in this. What we're doing really different, what changed, we're creating opportunities for team members to stay connected. That human element is something that we by nature crave, and it's really obvious when we all get on the call. Everybody wants to, how you doing, and that type of stuff. So we're doing the virtual team huddles. Like I said, I talked about 2 we did this morning. We did company town halls. I've probably got 2 or 3 virtual happy hours on my calendar every week. So just get together with different people, different groups. My ISA background, I have some people that we still do things with and working there. The nice thing is CRB leadership really embraces the cloud technology and virtual meetings as a way to stay connected to all of our people. We're a pretty big company and we're spread out. Our company president has been doing with all this a series of weekly town halls where we kind of hear about the state of our business, how it's being impacted on COVID-19 and what else is happening related to COVID-19 and how we're working within our office structures and what we can or shouldn't do there, guidance for making sure that everyone's safe and stays healthy. And it's kind of neat to sit there and see that on a weekly basis we have probably well over 800 people on that Microsoft Teams call to listen to his little address. So, we got a lot of people that were already savvy and pretty savvy and getting that way as well. We basically went from that many people, 1,300 people company, a lot of people in the office, to almost everyone working remotely in about a week. The biggest issues we had were just people picking up and moving monitors home so they had big screens to look at home. Some of the hardware, there were some scrambling, and I'll try to order a webcam and get it like in 3 days like we're used to on Amazon and other places, but that's not happening. Ethernet cables, miscellaneous items. But I guess my recommendation is to think simple, that make sure you have decent quality headsets, webcams, and know how to control and use them. Know your software. Again, most of our staff use these tools, and so it wasn't too big of a learning curve for most of us. Compared to a year ago, if you think about it too, fortunately your home internet bandwidth and performance is much improved. Probably in the last 3 years, it's really gone up there because everybody's streaming movies and video and online gaming and whatnot. So that's cool. We're running some pretty heavy software applications via remote servers and like Revit, AutoCAD, and 3D Design CAD, for example. And so they have some pretty good bandwidth requirements, but we're able to do that. We have a few outliers live out in farther out rural areas that don't have super internet connectivity. So we get used to them sounding kind of like Obi-Wan or Luke Skywalker when they're phoning in from the next galaxy over, kind of thing. But other than that, that's that in a nutshell.
Cool. Now then, if other people want to, duplicate this kind of process and adopt some of the tools, maybe how can I decide, which of the, whether it's Microsoft Teams or, or Blue Jean or GoToMeeting, how can I figure out which are the best ones for me? Just, are they easy to try out if you haven't used them before?
Yeah, depends on the software. You dig into that, but I think you can look around. A lot of them have free trials. They did before, at least I'm pretty sure they are now, and there are a number of them out there. Or by referrals. Microsoft Skype and Teams has integrated into Microsoft Windows and Office, so That's a tool that is there and pretty mature and stable. The go-tos, the Blue Jeans and the WebEx. WebEx kind of the Cadillac. They're the powerhouse that really works in all cases. And it varies. Some are free, some are included, some are cost and that type. So there's different cost structures. So there's a little bit of looking around. But the ones I mentioned probably are the ones that we see day in, day out for the most part in business and use. There are others out there. The Zoom software that became immensely popular because it was free and easy and quick. They got nailed with massive demand, and unfortunately, there are some issues that they're working through. But one of the things to remember too is that it wasn't all software to blame. Be careful how you use these tools, so that you don't publicly broadcast your meeting so that anybody can join it and then mess with you while you're on your meeting. That's some of the things that were happening there. But we had trials there, and I think most of those offer something. But yeah, I think you'll find too that one of the key things is that you're not going to find a one solution answer there necessarily. Particularly, well, for a person maybe, but for our business, again, some of these we have to use. We'll use one over the other based on what the meeting is, whether it's international. Certain clients require certain things for cybersecurity, so keep security and cybersecurity in mind. As far as other things, and that was the actual tools, but some things that we did implement early on here, even before there was a formally declared pandemic, we created a COVID-19 response team that pulls key parts of our business together, like legal, safety, C-suite, communications, whatever, to go over and keep everybody informed of the latest government guidance development, how to deal with it then and react at client job sites, and to address the safety and health concerns of our workforce, that type of stuff. Some construction site specific, because we are not only an engineering firm, but we do actually take it to the field, construct it, and build it. And again, we're still building things, and practice of social distancing. We go in groups of people. Segregation between construction scope and client operations. Kind of make sure that okay, you guys go work over there. You guys go work over there. Don't breathe on each other. That type of stuff. Stagger breaks. Limit the number of people on project breaks. Again, virtual meetings here too. And wash your hands, sanitizing stations at all job site entrances. Awareness, again, we're having, as we do with our weekly town halls internally, we're always, what's the latest and greatest in COVID? Keep reminding people what to do, how to do, be careful, think about what you're doing, wash your hands, watch your sneezing, just social distancing. We hate to use social distancing. It's physical physically distancing. Socially, let's keep talking on the WebEx or phone or whatever. And sites and clients have cracked down too. We just don't pop in and visit them anymore. They want to know if you're coming, prepare, make sure it's okay and essential. Those types of things, and sign people in, and just kind of if you've gone to the grocery stores. Most businesses that are open, they're limited in how many people are in the store, so they'll check you as you go in. If there's too many people in the store, they'll hold you up until somebody leaves and that type of stuff. So there's a lot to this. This is a big deal. So those are just some of the things, tools we've used, and again, some expansion on what we're doing and how we're working around these.
So once you get, the good headsets, and that's a great advice, you get a good headset and you decided on the software tool or platform you're going to use. Is there any other meeting protocols or rules of engagement for the either the project meetings or things that are new, and are there any soft skills that would be good for people to use?
That's a huge topic as well. The biggest and basic, most painful, that most people get on a conference call sometime and try it, and you'll find very quickly that you just want to scream out and yell at somebody and say, okay, everybody mute unless you're talking, so that you don't have noise, things like that. So there are, just think of that. Your microphone's picking up noise. Flip your microphone up out of your face so that you're not Darth Vadering someone, while you're breathing and with the mic on and things like that. So learn to mute that's probably one of the biggest pet peeves of all meetings, and that's been going on for quite a while. And those types of things, and just people need to take a little more time, just stop and think and jump into, how you jump into conversation, engage there, just courtesy and okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. You have to do a little more directing on speaking because you don't have the visual cues like you do sitting around a table. But again, we remotely manage projects a lot already, so it's there. So it's share an agenda and have a plan. And once you start working with these things, you kind of get into a flow and get comfortable with talking. But again, so many of the basics of that stuff.
Right. And you also mentioned the kind of, in addition to the technical project meetings, there was also the social kind of happy hour meetings as well that were also important, right?
Yeah, there is, and those are widely popular. And again, people naturally, it was kind of weird. Well, not weird, but when we had our first project and group team huddle where we've got 30 plus people that were used to getting together weekly around a big production room table, and we hadn't talked to everyone for, nobody's hardly talked to each other for a week. There's some that do a lot, but it was nice to get there and there's a lot of chat. Hey, how you doing? And go around the group and getting a little touch and base and giving everybody a chance to share what's been going on, how they've been coping. Turn on your webcam and show me your workspace. These kind of things. And this morning was one of you're razzing each other. The architect giving the engineer a little grief about his posters in the background not being quite lined up right, things like that. So the social aspect, again, we are social creatures, and so we recognize that, and we're making sure that we have ways for people to reach out. And again, since you're not in the office, you can't walk around impromptu things, you have a plan, but make sure you make a concerted effort and set up a time to get together, talk, and huddle up. Communication is very important, and so you've got to make sure that you're making an effort to communicate with everyone, let everybody have a chance to join in, and those types of things.
Terrific. All right. Well, it's all good advice. I mean, these are transitional times, and maybe some of these practices will continue forward. I know when we used to cover collaborative software, and there was these were multi-person meetings in two different places. If one had donuts and the other didn't, it became an issue, and they had to have what we called parity of treats on both sides. I don't know how you do that now, though, because everybody's in a separate location. But
yeah, that's a bit challenging. We had issues with that where we would do company-wide meetings and try to do a presentation where we are across 4 time zones. So somewhere it's lunchtime for somebody, and others it's late morning or right after breakfast. So yeah. You learn to live with that. Again, the etiquette there when you're in the group with lunch, don't be crinkling your potato chip bag too much. And okay, everybody, right now, unwrap your sandwich, get that all the way now. Crunch quietly, munch on your sandwich, watch your chips by the mic, that type of stuff. So
it's even more important to mute your line.
Yeah, so learn to mute, and I think one of the main things that it's an attitude, responsibility, value, our team is making an effort to check in with each other, make sure everyone feels supported and a part of the group that we've spread out now, and we got to virtually make sure that everyone's being a part. Be patient and understanding. Just things are, calm down. You got to take things with a grain of salt. Whether things are going to distract you at home, you got things going on. The kids are out of school for a lot. And the other part is, and the big challenge here, and I'm lucky so far. I was prepping for this and doing some other stuff late afternoon yesterday, and my computer died. Went blue screen twice in about 30 minutes, and I lost some stuff. And I was like, but it's going to happen. People get bumped off calls and stuff, and again, your remote meetings and all this stuff, as we talked earlier, there's always going to be someone with a bandwidth issue or things like that, or their sound's garbled, and you say, can you repeat yourself, please? And it's not a big deal. Just take your time. If you fall off meeting, hey, call back in. We'll work around it. Things can get done. We're all going through this together, and we need to learn to just be patient, solve problems. We've had some people that have bandwidth when you're on a computer and you're sharing video and audio. That takes up more bandwidth, obviously. Some people don't have that, so what they've done is, okay, they call in on their cell phone and they have their computer so they can see what's going on, so that way that relieves the computer and they don't have the garbled. So there's, understanding bandwidth, what happens quarterly. The big thing is if you've got kids, if you got a critical meeting and you need to be online and have everything, make sure the kids aren't playing Call of Duty with half their buddies and chewing up your bandwidth, so that you have the functionality you need. Take time to share, just like anything. But again, key thing, be patient and have a sense of humor.
Yeah, well, patience is probably the most important insight in there. I mean, that's could be a good silver lining for the whole current situation if folks develop more patience with each other.
Yeah, patience, like I said, going out and about, I think you're going to see a resurgence of patience, courtesy, things like that. So, I mean, hey, things change in our world. We live with it. We adapt. We go on, and we learn from things. So let's take the good out of this as much as we can.
All right. Well, listen, Steve, that was some great input. I'm sure it gives our listeners and a lot of encouragement and some news they can use to cope with the present COVID-19 crisis. Thanks again for cluing us in today.
You're quite welcome, and hope everyone stays well.
All right. This has been another Control Amplified podcast. I'm Jim Montague. Thanks for listening, and please remember that Control Amplified podcasts are always available on most of the podcasting apps, such as the iTunes Store and Google Play, and on Control Magazine's YouTube channel podcasts. Plus, you can always just listen right away at controlglobal.com. Thanks a bunch.